Aloha! I am here again making a video. My goal with this video is to read my first monthly, or now it is a tri-monthly newsletter. It's called Busyness. I'm just going to read it and make a video because I understand that it's harder for people to read something that's this long. It's 7 pages. It's easier to listen to it rather than read it. So, starting now, first things. My original goal for this newsletter was for it to be a monthly thing, and now, after 3 months of being off social media, there has been nothing besides this. So, I am creating a tri monthly newsletter update. This is a cumulative culmination. Oh boy. This is a culmination of some things I've written over the course of 2020 as we know it, and additionally some things I have written before 2020. I may be missing some major world issues that buzz around my brain, but I'll do my best. So this was emailed March 31st, maybe. Of 2020. Hilfreich Studio LLC dissolvement, pre-economic collapse of 2020. I'm very grateful for everyone who has encouraged, taught, reached out, etc. to me and who continues to do so. Furthermore, to the people not on social media who have interacted, inspired, purchased, supported, and encouraged me from the last plus or minus 4 years, it has been amazing, and I feel like I've done amazing things. Unfortunately, I was never learned how to do business. Everything I've done from business was from asking people questions and the internet. The reality is, I've been doing business poorly. The good thing is, I know, the good thing is that I know I am not great, so I've enrolled myself in an entrepreneurship class, and I am in the process of cleaning up my act. Spring of 2019. It was a great class, and I learned a lot, but two things about the class. First thing, I joined the class to learn how to create a co-op, and yeah, they didn't teach me much of anything on how to do that. Second thing, the more I learned about business, the more I didn't want to do it. Because, for the most part, it's about screwing someone over for your own gains. Not necessarily the case, because some people want to do it, want what you're selling, okay? Additionally, this was my final straw in removing myself from social media. Because if you haven't noticed, all those accounts selling you something continued from 2019. That means I will be dissolving Hilfreich Studio LLC in order to free my mind again from the clutter of paperworks, very unorganized papers, so I can again feel free to create with a better process and template in place. That being said, I feel in my heart it should end in the eyes of the government. I am doing Hilfreich Studio now in an involved form that it was intended to be. This experience was definitely not a failure, just practice. Our next project will be more focused on community of what everyone does rather than just me. My next step is an artist co-op, a place with shared and private workspace, storage, and studio offices. Please message my personal email account if you are interested in being a member of the Downtown Appleton Art Co-op. Thanks again. Peace and love. Okay. That was the end of my letter written probably March 2019 that I didn't put out. Since then, a lot has happened with the Artist Co-op that was eventually named Artists and Outlaws Creative Co-op. We had an amazing run at it, but based on how that sentence started, it was, in the end, another mismanaged opportunity. I definitely learned a lot in the process, like how I don't wish to be chasing around my friends and colleagues every month for rent, especially artists, and especially in the current culture we have for people like us who are already struggling to pay bills without having to pay for an additional studio space. I've made a rough draft video of this story that took place from the beginning of 2019 until August of 2019. In the Birth of Busyness section of this letter, you can find another story that happened while all of this was happening that didn't make it. That didn't make it easier for me to function and manage everything that was happening. I'm very sorry to everyone whom I involved in the process for it only to fall flat, and all the time seemingly wasted. I put together a compilation video of some of the footage I was able to take while in our temporary studio space in the city center downtown Appleton. It is still currently being finished up, and with our current cultural climate, I'm not sure when that final product will be served to the online platforms. I can say that I believe when the time comes and other people believe in the same ideas and values, an artist co-op will work wonders in cities and communities like Appleton and Eau Claire, Wisconsin, and other places too, obviously, but these are the ones on my forefront mind. Here is a clip I replied to a nonprofit in Appleton regarding arts. I am involved in the arts, yes, and do a lot for it, but I am sorry to say meetings like these get me more depressed than optimistic about the future. Because our culture is encapsulated in a vicious cycle of greed, it seems. And honestly, I am so broke from making my own projects happen to help improve other people's lives, I can hardly improve my own. I was mad, I guess. Okay. Birth of Busyness. Next section. I've realized I'm not good at business. I've been having troubles writing this newsletter because I'm not sure what to focus the writing on. There are multiple things that I'm doing and thinking, and that's just today. The only thing higher on my list than writing this, to my displeasure, apply for Badger Care, insurance for the poor, and also, yes, food share. Ever since I moved back to Appleton, Wisconsin for 2016, I've undoubtedly qualified for food share. I haven't ever made much money, in contrast to the majority of people around me, in America or elsewhere, and they will say the same when they compare themselves to the minority in the class above them. Not only that, but I'm bad at counting, organizing, and keeping track of it by year. It's more like month to month, week to week thing for me. I blame this on two factors. One, I wasn't taught in time how to, and secondly, and more prevalent, it is my rejection of this game we live. I think what we are doing for the most part is idiotic. Global debt increased 9 trillion in 2019 to who? U.S. national debt is almost 23 trillion. Look, if it is working for you, congrats. I can't really say I'm happy for you because that would mean I'd need to outreach that happiness for the folk it's not working for. Because I feel like it's working for less people. I just wish for people who wished for basic human rights were granted it. I've been thankful enough to make it and not completely lose my mind to my own senseless debt, mostly because of my mother's love. Not to say it's not my own work and skills too, it's just not one thing. I have friends and colleagues and associates to blame for my success as well. I will also give a shout out to my grandma who supports her hippie-ish, socialist-ish grandson, even though she's a Trumper. But anyways, yes, food share. Be sad, be mad, be happy, etc. I am feeling all the emotions about it. Bottom line is, it is for the folks who need it, and I am unfortunately at that point now. For the last 6 months, I've been on again, off again, searching for more work and unable to find it. I think what is to blame is a ticket I've recently received on June 30th, 2019. I was camping in the UP with my partner, Geneva, and we were having a disagreement and ended up driving home for the night. She was passed out in the back seat while I was falling asleep at the wheel. I did what I thought was right and pulled off the highway at 12:15 a.m. and then pulled onto the on-ramp, parked, and fell asleep. 20 minutes later, an officer came. I was disoriented from being sleepy, and he asked me for proof of insurance, and I couldn't find it. He went to his car, and legal or not, they eventually brought dogs and searched my van. It doesn't help the fact that I for looking at for looking a bit homeless, and my 2002 Toyota Sienna, although luxurious in 2002, were probably at the bad end of some class discrimination. They found my THC grinder with dust in it and a pipe with residue. Oh, yeah, and some LSD. I was brought in, booked, and let go that night. So, because of this, it seems like I am unable to find work. It is unfortunate because I can comfortably say that psychedelics saved my life. The US government has been at war with medical drugs for more than half a century. This ended up being a nightmare scenario of finding a lawyer and me trying to stop using my medicine, THC, for court proceedings. I eventually settled on being guilty for THC and paraphernalia. The LSD charge was dropped, but still read in on CCAP. Strange that places like Fleet Farm and Woodman's won't even give me a call back. So much for the illegality of discrimination. I can only imagine what it is like for other people not as fortunate as myself. It's mentally devastating, but I'm clever and surviving, only with the support of my lover, friends, and family. Much love and appreciation to you. For real. Some are unaware of this story, and I'm sure you can understand why. I like to consider myself a pioneer for the rights to use psychedelics in all parts of the cannabis plant. It is criminal to deter the uses of these substances. Also, like everything, you need to consider dose, the amount, and environment, mentally and physically. Just because you can hit yourself in the head or finger with a hammer, you still you can still buy and use them. Continued. Some great news of January, February, March is I've gotten a new studio space at my place of contract employment, the Trout Museum of Art, where I am right now. I know what you're thinking, and no, it is not a fish museum. I'm an educator there where I've taught 4-year-olds to 75-year-old plus. What I'm doing now, along with that, is I'm helping create and test an artist in resident program for them. I'm writing this from that studio space, and now I'm saying it from that studio space. Different room. I will thankfully have access to the studio space 24/7 until August, even with COVID-19. Okay, update. The building is closed until 4/24 because of COVID-19. Other art residence news at the other nonprofit called the Building for Kids. I've been the artist in resident there for their monthly program for the month of February. It's been a really good experience. The organizer is great, and I encourage you to reach out if that is of any interest to you. Yesterday, now February 20th, I was on Venture Wisconsin's 45th podcast episode. It was a great convo. If you have time, throw it on and draw or cook or something. Speaking of art and artists, I've kind of lost my community of artists and art, mostly because of my own fault. But I'm going to paste my artist statements in here, and if anyone wants to comment or edit or anything else, please feel free. This is my artist statement for papermaking and printmaking. My works are guided by my interest in objects and ideas that correlate to human abundances, human psychology, and emotional sensitivities. By examining and deconstructing the amplitude of these devalued and often discarded things, I then express my personal experiences and perspective by reconstructing new relationships through printmaking and papermaking. Both of these mediums do this in similar but distinctive ways. The difference is, in my printmaking works, they are often working through logical investigations into ideologies and perspectives. Contrarily, my papermaking is often inspired by curiosity and focused on the tangible physical objects of our time. In large part, my works are guided by a yearning to learn and understand more about and to question our cultural narratives we live by every day. And this is my sculpture and painting artist statement. My sculpture and painting compositions are most often guided by curiosity as my main impetus. Being a creative professional, learning new mediums and thus the cross-pollination have been a fascinating aspect of my art making process. I find myself finding and creating relationships between material objects and human psychological correlations. The finished product expressing, among other things, physical and metaphysical consequences from the abundance of devalued and discarded items and relationships. As my subconscious mind guides my body, intuitiveness prompts the reconstruction of the ethereal into a greater mass of material concept of consequence. Wow! What the fuck does that mean? So if anyone is so inclined, please reply to what you think or what I should maybe change. Very much appreciated. Okay. Now bring it back to the beginning. On how I am bad at business and too good at busyness. I've had to cancel my HelfrichStudio.com and TylerHelfrich.com website because I could not afford to maintain the site and the cost. I am just horrible at doing these things. I feel like technology should be helping more, but I feel as if it is hurting a bit. It pains my computer to even use Adobe programs. Like, seriously, 3 minutes just to open a program on my Mac from 2012. And if I go to the library and open Adobe programs, 3 seconds. I'm feeling struggles. Now, on top of that, I've stopped going to the library long before the library closed because of Corona. Jesus Christ. I probably stopped going to the library like beginning of February. Fuck. After, I'm not good at holding back information that I think is beneficial for other businesses or ventures. It may not be, and most certainly that I suspect, it is by no harm a foolish man offers advice. The foolish man does not know what they are doing. Okay. It's already an 18-minute video. I'm just going to start with the next topic. Busyness.